Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the 2024 This Kid's Opinion UFC Awards Show. This is the most prestigious award show for MMA because the media always gets these awards wrong. Like, I bet you anything that the fighter of the year is going to go to Gaethje or Holloway, and they'll give the award to sub of the year to Kamza. And that's just completely wrong in my opinion, so we're going to get it right tonight. So the first award we will be presenting is the prestigious Knockout of the Year. Our candidates are Max Holloway because of his electrifying KO over Justin Gaethje at UFC 300, where he pointed down to the ground, and then these two decided to slug it out, producing one of the greatest knockouts of all time. And a really underrated one is Marion Santos, his KO win over Con Ofli, where he landed a vicious left hook in close, where he knocked out Ofli to where he was sitting on his knees, and Marion was able to land a few more follow-up shots, but it was just a really weird KO, but it won him the Ultimate Fighter, and it was pretty cool. Muslim Salikov got a spinning wheel kick KO over Song Kanan. Dan Ige had a relatively cool and normal KO over Andre Fili. But what put it over the top for me was him standing over Fili and landing the coldest ground and pound shots I've seen in a while. And the last candidate for KO of the year is Vinicius Oliveira, his running flying knee KO win over Bernardo Sopaj, and it resulted in one of the best ragdoll KOs of the year. So the winner of the 2024 TKO Knockout of the Year will go to Max Holloway, and in any other year, these other contestants would have won. But watching this KO live, I lost my voice, fell out of my chair. It was a good time, so congrats to Max Holloway. On to our second award, Submission of the Year, and to be honest, guys, we had some weak submissions this year, but we must crown a winner. So Islam Makhachev got a tremendous Darce choke on Dustin Poirier after securing one of the coolest takedowns in UFC history. Anthony Hernandez got a slick rear naked choke over Roman Kopylov, where he was smiling while submitted Roman. It was a really cool submission. Michelle Pereira submitted Michael Olszewski with one of the quickest rear naked choke submissions I've ever seen. He got it in quick. Paddy Pimblett had a ridiculously high level triangle armbar over Bobby Green, which put him to sleep. And then lastly, Khamzat Chimaev got his biggest win of his career over Robert Whittaker with a rear naked choke, which destroyed Whittaker's teeth. The winner of Submission of the Year is going to be... My name's Patty the Baddie. I submitted that sausage Bobby Green in me hometown. Patty's going to take it home, and it's one of the most satisfying grappling exchanges you'll ever see, so congrats to Paddy Pimblett on Submission of the Year. On to the big award, and this is one I'm sure you are here for. Alex Pereira went 3-0 this year, and he was definitely the MVP of the UFC because he had 3 title defenses, but they were all in short notice. Really weird stuff. He was definitely a big help for the UFC this year. There's also Carlos Prates, who went 4-0 and got his first ranked win, winning all of his fights by brutal knockout. Ilia Topuria won the featherweight championship by knocking out the greatest featherweight of all time in Alexander Volkanovski, and then he knocked out the second greatest featherweight of all time in Max Holloway in his first title defense, and these 2 wins may be the greatest back-to-back wins of all time. Diego Lopez had 3 incredible wins over Sadiq Youssef, Dan Ige, and Brian Ortega, and his next fight is going to be a big one. And then the winner of the last fight of 2024 was Joaquin Buckley, who won 4 fights this year, including a knockout over Vicente Luque, Wonderboy, and a doctor stoppage over Colby Covington. We have 5 incredible potential winners, but ultimately, the winner of the 2024 TKO Fighter of the Year is going to go to Ilia Topuria, due to the quality of his wins and the way he won it. I know Alex had 1 more title defense, but Ilia beat way better guys and beat them in incredible fashion. He literally beat the GOATs of his division, so in my opinion, Ilia Topuria is the Fighter of the Year. Our next award is one that represents the future of the sport, the Breakout Star of the Year, and we got some great candidates. First up is Carlos Ulberg, who had a 12-second knockout win over Alonzo Mendenfield, and he got his first ranked win against Volkan Oezdemir, and he solidified himself as a future title challenger. Kyle Barajo shot up the middleweight rankings by knocking out Paul Craig, and he also dominated Jared Cannonier in a 5-rounder, and he might be in a title eliminator next. Yusuf Zalal returned to the UFC this year and went on an unbelievable 3-0 run by all his wins this year were by submission. And he was out for the UFC for 2 years, but he reinvented himself in a big way, and he was also close to making the Fighter of the Year list. And our last 2 candidates were also Fighter of the Year candidates, with Carlos Prates and Joaquin Buckley. So the Breakout Star of the UFC in 2024 is Joaquin Buckley, who went 4-0 and secured 3 ranked wins, but most importantly, he became one of my favorite fighters, and I'm firmly on the Buck train. Alright, on to our last award, the coveted Fighter of the Year award, and I'll be honest, we really didn't have a ton of wars this year. I had to do a lot of film watching and research for this one. But first up is Gamrot versus Hooker, which was a great back and forth fight where both guys hurt each other. But Dan's chin and his midlife crisis tattoos will not give up, and he really put on Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Rebecki and Maitek Oroboy had a great war on UFC 308 where Maitek was getting destroyed the whole fight, but then he would still come forward, and then he landed a big shot out of nowhere, and then you're thinking to yourself, is he going to come back? And that was pretty much the entire fight. It was a great one. And then Daniel Zellhuber and Esteban Ribovic put on an instant classic at UFC 306 where it literally didn't stop. They just kept throwing, and both of these guys' chins were tested, and they proved to be granite. And then the co-main event of the last card produced a classic Cub Swanson and Billy Q fight where Billy Q was getting destroyed. But his great cardio kept him in the fight, and he also hurt Cub a few times. But ultimately, he ate a massive left hook and straight right hand combo from Cub, which put Billy out. And then lastly, Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. And if I'm being honest, this is only on here because of the last 5 seconds of the first round. Gaethje knocking down Max in the fourth, and then obviously the last 10 seconds of the fight. This fight for the most part was pretty boring, but these moments carry it, and I was honestly close to putting Drew Dober versus Gene Silva on here instead. But this is our top 5. So the best fight of 2024 will go to Zellhuber versus Ribovic. Guys, what an absolute war, and this was the only fight out of the bunch where I could honestly say it was like one of the greatest of all time. So it was a well-deserving winner. So that does it. That does it with the 2024 TKO Award Show. Ilya was the Fighter of the Year. Max won KO of the Year. Patty won Sub of the Year. Buckley was the Breakout Star of the Year. And then the Fighter of the Year was Zellhuber and Ribovic. So thank you guys for watching, and make sure to comment your 2024 awards for the UFC. But hey, I'm just a kid, and this is my opinion.